At the end of this video, I'm gonna sound like a huge hypocrite, so please don't roast me in the comments. I know. Hey humans, welcome back to otro videito más. Today we're gonna talk about something pretty important, which it's a thing that happens to literally all of us, and that is gas. And by gas, no, I don't mean farts, I mean gear acquisition syndrome. Now, the premise of gear acquisition syndrome is what it sounds like. You have a syndrome that you want to acquire a lot of gear. But yeah, basically that's it. You just want more gear than what you already have, even though you don't need it. So, and that's a big problem for a lot of photographers and videographers because, yeah, there's a lot of gear coming out. Like every 3 months, there's something new, something exciting, something pretty dope that just hits market. And, you know, it's kind of hard not to want it. But be patient. I'm going to show you what I do in order to not fall into this gear acquisition syndrome thing that happens to all of us. But let's start with my gear acquisition syndrome problem or example. It all started when I decided to do photography. It wasn't like out of the blue. It was just like, you know, little stepping stones here and there, a phone camera, then a little point and shoot. And then I saw David Dobrik doing vlogs and I was like, what camera is he using? And then I got into the Canon system. And then after that, I decided to like, damn, mirrorless sounds so much better. I saved up money. I didn't have it, so I saved it up. And I told myself, I was like, man, after watching countless videos, I said, if I can have just this one camera, if I can just get that Sony a7S III, it's just gonna be game changer. I'm gonna be able to do everything. And then obviously I did. And I decided to switch systems because mirrorless and Sony a7S III, I mean, come on. I was able to sell all my Canon gear like in one shot. It was pretty dope. Thanks to that, I was able to afford the Sony a7S III.
Yeah, baby! That's what I've been waiting for. That's what it's all about. Woo!
And one lens, and that one lens was the Sigma 24-70, which at some point I ended up returning or selling, I can't remember. And then of course I wanted the Holy Trinity again because, you know, I'm in a new system. So I wanted to get the 70-200 and I wanted to get the 16-35. Yeah, and then I had the 24-70 and that was like freaking awesome. And I got it. I had the Holy Trinity. And of course, I also needed a few primes because they're primes. I need them. And I need the macro lens. We all need a macro lens. So obviously, I also got the macro lens. I got the 50mm f1.2. I also got the Sigma 85 f1.4 until I saw that the Tamron decided to release a 35-150 f2.2.8. And then I was like, well, I really need that because if I have that one lens, then I can just take that one lens to every shoot and it'll be a game changer because I'm just gonna have everything, you know, everything that you use for portraits and above, like it'll be there. And it's 2-2.8. I mean, what else could you ask for? Yeah, I gave back the 24-70 or I sold it, I can't remember. And then I got the 35-150 and I have that lens and it's freaking awesome. It's, where's it at? It's actually here, connected to another camera. Guess what the camera is? It's the Sony a7R5. Yeah, that's a problem because I said that I only needed the Sony a7S III to become, you know, something great. And so I started doing a lot of photography because, you know, photography is just fun. And it was really fun. So I started doing all these doggy pictures at a doggy daycare and it was really fun. And I was like, man, the Sony a7S III is great. But what if I want to print these in a bigger, you know, like a print? And I, you know, I only have 12 megapixels to play around with. Well, I was like, damn, I wish I had like a photocentric camera. And then they announced the Sony a7R5. I bought the Sony a7R5 also, and that was pretty much it. I was like, dope, I have everything I need. I mean, what else could I want? I got a pro video camera. I got a pro photo camera, not counting, you know, I know the A1 and the A9 II, like they were out at the moment, and obviously they are pure photo, like beasts, but that's more for like sports. I guess capturing dogs could count as a sport since they're pretty quick, but nonetheless, I was not about to spend $6,000 until I saw a review for the Sony a9 III, and I was like, oh, a global shutter. I mean, I can capture 120 frames like in 1 sec. Like this is, I'll never miss a shot. I'll never miss it. This is gonna be like the best thing ever. I will never miss a shot. Well, I did try to sell the Sony a7R5 and the Sony a7S III to get the a9 III. Yeah. And then I was like, but if I give up the Sony a7S III, then this low light performance just, it's non-existent. because the global shutter, as good as it is, the low light performance on it is not that great. The ISO performance, yeah, not there yet. And I decided not to. After a couple weeks of trying to selling these two cameras, I was like, you know what? No. I have a photo camera. I have a video camera. They are like amazing, right? I cannot complain. I have more than I was bargaining for. Anyways, let's go back in time to a simpler time where I was getting into photography and I had my Canon and everything was great. And obviously I got into like this whole mood that I wanted everything to be photography. So I was looking for backgrounds for my laptop that had to do with photography. And I kind of like vintage stuff. So I just decided to search, Google search vintage camera. And I found this. And this was the wallpaper I was like in love with. I was like, holy this camera is so pretty. Like with the leather, with this lens hood that looks unique as hell. Like you got the red shutter release button up top. Like this was cool. I thought this was great. And I thought that was like just a film camera. Needless to say, I put it as my background, and for like 2 years, it was my background and I loved it. I tried really hard to find this camera. And guess what? After 2 days, I found it. It was the Fujifilm X100vi. Of all cameras, it had to be that one, especially during the craze where everyone wanted one of these and they were nowhere to be found. It kind of sucked because I was like, man, this is the camera I've been looking at for 2 years as my background. And it would be so fun to have it because I got used to obviously doing paid shoots with my main two cameras. At some point, it kind of felt like not fun to go out and shoot with these two cameras for myself, like for fun or for YouTube or for whatnot. So obviously I was trying to get my hands on the Fuji X100vi, and obviously they were going for like double and sometimes triple the freaking like retail price for a used one. Okay, and I was like, this is nuts. I mean, this is not happening. Like, I mean, I want it really, really bad, but if I'm paying like all this money for this Fujifilm camera, I might as well get like the Sony RX1 Mark II, which is super crazy expensive, but you can find it used for like $2,000, which is kind of what the Fuji X100v was going for at the time. Thankfully, I stopped myself. I did not buy a overpriced used X100v. So I looked at different options because I really wanted something fun that would just inspire me to go out and shoot. And obviously after finding the camera, I got into the Fujifilm rabbit hole of things. So after doing a bunch of research, I ended up going with this, the X-T30 Mark II. Now I went with this because it's really small. It has a flash, which is right there. Yep. And it also has a electronic viewfinder in the back, and the tilt screen also comes down, so that was pretty sweet. So it basically had everything, and it is super small. Now obviously I have this massive 56 1.2 lens on it, and I have this little grip to help me grip it because the lens is heavy, and it brought me back. It got me out to shoot, and after this everything was good. I had my professional cameras and my fun camera, and yeah, I mean, I've been shooting with it for a while. I don't know if you guys have been seeing my YouTube shorts, but if you have, then you have seen this camera in action, probably with this Oreo pancake lens, which comes into play here in a minute. And about 4 months ago, I was just not shooting a lot with this. I kind of was going back to the X100v, how I really wanted it, how I thought, having that one camera with the one lens, not having to think about changing the lens, just having the 35mm equivalent on it, and just, just going ham on it, having the optical viewfinder, which, I kind of wanted that. I wanted it in the rangefinder style. I wanted it in that retro look because that is the camera I've been looking at for 2 years as my background. So I was almost ready to pull the trigger and spend like two and a half grand trying to buy the X100v. And I stopped myself because I saw this video and they were talking about gear acquisition syndrome, how it's a problem because we keep buying all the new stuff and how the old stuff is just not enough. But the old stuff is enough. Like, all this that I have is freaking powerful as hell. And then I heard this quote that goes along the lines of like, you now have what you desired back then. Which in my case is true. I have the Sony a7S III, which is the only one I desired back, and I said was going to be a game changer. And not only that, I have a Sony a7R5, I have a Fujifilm X-T30, I have all the freaking lenses, you know what I mean? Like, I have all this stuff. When I was close to doing the, buying the used Fuji X100v, I stopped myself and I was like, how can I freaking get excited about my gear again? Like, I feel like that's the only way to like stop buying stuff, because I'm excited about this new gear that I want to get. How can I get excited about my old gear? That is like the main question, right? Because at some point I was super excited about the old gear and now I'm not. So what was it? What was it that got me excited in the first place to get the gear? Well, first, I didn't have it, so that was exciting to get something you don't have. But the other thing I realized is that watching reviews and like POVs and like real world use of like different equipment, that was one of the things that got me hyped up. Watching other creators use the gear that I wanted, that I was thinking of buying, and that was it. That was the main thing that would just hype you up. Be like, God, I really need that. Like, and so I tested it out. I went back and searched Fujifilm X100vi Mark II, and I watched a shit ton of reviews of the camera I already own. Let me tell you, it did work. I did get hyped up about using my X100 again. I absolutely got hyped up again by watching reviews, which is awesome. And I was like, but I still want to do something different, right? Because of course. And I decided to get this Oreo lens, and it's fun. It just has one of those disposable camera lenses on it. It's been really fun. It's been really exciting. I'm really happy to have this back. And I stopped thinking about the X100v because yeah, I was like, I don't need that. I'm not gonna pay all that freaking extra money for it. Like, it's just not happening. Guess what happens a few days ago, a week ago, I believe? Yeah, Fujifilm announced the X100vi. I know I'm talking about gear acquisition syndrome and how it is a problem, but guys, I've been wanting this camera for a minute, but like 2 solid years of wanting this camera, seeing it as my background, and just really wanting to have it. And after Fuji announced the release of the X100vi, I didn't even realize they were doing it. I was just sitting on my desk, and it just a notification, X Summit Live. Obviously, they showcased it. Oh, that Fuji X100vi, and my heart just dropped. My jaw was wide open. I was like, oh, this is it. This is the time to get it. No BS. And yeah, I did pre-order it. I still don't have it. Try to get it from B&H, and it's pre-ordered, but it's on back order. If I'm reading the news correctly, this is like the fastest a camera has sold ever. But besides the point, yeah, I ended up buying it. And yes, I know I'm talking about gear acquisition syndrome and how not to buy more stuff. I have everything I could ever want. I have the lights I want, I have the lens I want, I have the cameras I want, I have the extra cameras I want. Anyways, this video is going on for a long time. I gave you a big freaking story, and I said it was gonna be quick, and it wasn't, so my bad. Really, I'm sorry. But basically the premise is, if you feel tired or you don't feel excited about your old gear, just go on YouTube, watch reviews of your favorite creators using what you already have, and go watch the reviews, go watch some POVs, just go watch what you watched before you bought it in the first place, because we all watch reviews before we buy shit. You know it, I know it, we all do it. At least that was my trick. That's the one thing that worked, was rewatching reviews and getting pumped and psyched about the camera I already have. So yeah, if you're having trouble and your bank is screaming and telling you to stop spending, then do that. I think it'll help. And if it does help, come back to this video and please let me know in the comments if it does help, or if you've done this before and it has helped, let me know. And if it doesn't help, also let me know. I mean, you kind of also need a little bit of self-control, which is kind of hard to have. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something from like what I did. If you're just starting out and you got that one camera that you wanted, just remember, you don't need the other camera. You don't need the other camera. Keep working hard on the camera you have. And then later, when you like overflowing with money, then you can just go buy the next thing. But just focus on the one camera that you know you need. Focus on the lights that you know you need. Focus on the mics that you know you need. And then focus on the content that you're gonna create. Or focus on the content that you're gonna create. You can always use your iPhone, your Samsung, your Android phone. You can use, you know, anything at your disposal to start. You don't need the shit to make great stuff. You just need good creativity, which I'm still trying to find. Yeah. But in case this does happen in the future, so you don't come back to this video and haunt me and say, wow, you're a bigger hypocrite than I thought you were. If Sony comes out with the RX1 Mark III, aka the smallest full frame camera, I will buy it. That is the last camera I could want. For now, that is the last camera I would want for now. So yeah, that is my story. That's how I beat the gear acquisition syndrome. Not really, but kinda, you know, baby steps here. Thank you if you're still here. I'm not sure why, but thank you so much for watching. Thank you all for the support. We're almost to 1,000 subscribers, which is pretty freaking sick. You know, that has been the goal for a little bit, and I'm pretty stoked. I'm just gonna keep doing my thing, having fun with it, because there's no point in doing it if you're not having fun with it. So yeah, I find this entertaining. I'm gonna keep doing what I can. Videos, not every week, but you'll get YouTube shorts of me shooting outside pictures every day. 9 p.m. on the dot. But yeah, thanks for being here. Again, I appreciate every single one of you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for staying till the end. And yeah, tara próxima.